Hi, look who I have with me is Sphinx Akashaa. I'm so excited for this interview. I've been waiting for a while. Welcome, 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 and welcome everyone back to the channel. Hi, Haley. Oh my gosh. Hi. Welcome.
Hello.
How have you
I'm so
been?
excited to be here.
Oh my gosh, I'm excited that you're excited. And very honored that you agreed to come on. I'm so happy that you said that. Yay.
I'm honored to be here. Thank you for inviting me. I was so like shocked and happy when you messaged me. I was like, oh my god, okay, cool, yes, absolutely, 100%.
Okay, okay, don't make me blush. Don't do it. Okay, okay. My cheeks are gonna be like boiling right now. Okay, so super happy. That made me like, oh my god, today's like, so as everyone knows around the world. Hey Jen, as everyone knows around the world, the global outage has happened with uh, what I can't remember their name right now. You know what? The IT people who suck, because this is what happens when you lay people off without laying them off. But I'm gonna digress from that. Right? Just saying, if you lay people off, things happen, and then you lay off um, technology engineers who this is their bread and butter, and whoops.
Ooh, don't get me started on that. As a victim of that trend, please do not get me started on that.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, but we're gonna digress and we're gonna go into something else, completely much more entertaining. So you are an author, professional TTRPG player. You're a game master. You're a musician. You are a self-proclaimed renegade time lord. You which I love that because I love all things Doctor Who. You write fantasies, you're into comic books, everything, all these different things, as well as filming and streaming. Where do you find the time for everything that you do? And I forgot cosplay too.
Oh man, schedules, and having a supportive wife and daughter who are willing to put up with my shenanigans. Um, Yeah, yeah, that's when I first started doing this, I was like, oh, this is just gonna be a fun like thing that I do,
Hmm.
kind of help pass the time during the pandemic,
Right.
and then things blew up, and I did not expect to be invited to so many games, and of course me wanting to be like, yes, I want to play in all of these things, yes,
Hmm.
and so I
Hmm.
did, and initially, like my wife was like, "Yeah, do the thing, whatever makes you happy." And then eventually she was like, "That's a lot. It's a lot of the
That's a,
thing,
that's a lot of
and
things.
it's a lot of things." And oh, you're adding another one. Oh, okay, I guess. I mean, whatever makes you happy. And then just like coming to that, but also making sure that these channels and things understand that my real life has to come first,
Right, right.
and that my wife and my daughter are a priority in my life. While I love everything that I'm doing, they will always be number one, and I will do whatever I can to spend as much time with them as possible. Especially now that my daughter's a teenager,
Mm,
getting to spend that time with her is like
mm,
extra important to me.
right, right.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah. um, I can imagine your wife is like, "That's enough slices." You know, you
You
know,
don't have any more slices to give, damn you!
that is enough. So, out of all those things, you also write and you are a musician, and those are the two things that can be some of the most time-consuming things that you can do. How do you find the time to dedicate to those and their talents? How do you find the time to dedicate to those talents?
I sleep very little.
Mm.
Um, I'm trying to get better about that. But a lot of, particularly those two, I dedicate like my nights to that. Wife and daughter go to bed, or wife goes to bed, daughter is up, doing whatever it is she does, usually drawing.
Yeah.
Um, but I will then sequester myself in my office or in the game room, writing or recording something or something to that degree. You can't see it now because it's a mess back there, but my recording station is all of this back
Oh
here.
wow. Okay.
So I will take time out, and luckily it's like the house is big enough to where the noise isn't bothering when I have
Mhm.
headphones and all that stuff. neighbors live far enough away that it's not a noise issue.
Right.
So I'm able to just kind of do what I want
Hmm.
to my heart's content, at least until I get tired enough to need sleep.
Then you're like, I should probably go lay down. you know.
Yes.
Um. So you have also released two stories, I believe. There.
Hmm.
Are there any plans to release like a full novel? And if so, will it be like a series or it gonna be individual? Like what's happening with the writing?
So it's been the writing's been on kind of hiatus, not indefinitely. There's a plan to get back to it, but with everything that I've been doing in TTRPGs
Mm-hmm.
right now, it's been a lot. But yes, I am planning on writing a full length novel. I'm planning on it being a trilogy, actually,
Wow.
and that's something that I'm really really excited about.
Mm-hmm.
If the stories that I'm thinking of are the ones that you've read, the novels will take place within that same kind of universe
Mm-hmm.
ish, same main character, uh, but like shooting to like a couple of years later, and things will happen that'll make that hero go, you know what, I'm out, and it will be less of like an action fantasy kind of
Right.
thing and more of a cozy fantasy thing.
Ooh. Okay.
So yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm 4 chapters in,
Ooh.
and
Okay.
it's going to be a good time. I don't have a working title for it yet,
Mm-hmm.
but the series is going to be called I Am Magic.
Ooh.
So that'll be that's something to look forward to. I don't know when I'm going to be done, but
It's
I
gonna
mean,
be done eventually. I mean,
yeah, it'll
you
be
know.
finished when it's finished.
So, which answers my next question. Then, like, how quickly do you plan on having it done? This, there, like you said, there's no timeline, but are you relatively quick, or is it something that you kind of like let it happen when it happens?
I'm kind of letting it happen when it happens.
Okay.
With some of the other projects that I'm involved in right now, it's hard to dedicate uh, a set period of time
Mm-hmm.
to focus on it
Yeah.
while also focusing on everything else, and also being a family man,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
also uh, like I said, being a victim of the weird layoffs, trying to find another job on top of all of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all a lot. But my hope, I'm gonna knock on wood composite, is that I can get something out there in the next couple of years.
Okay. Okay. That's not bad. That's a pretty good
Yeah.
timeline.
And hopefully I won't do the Patrick Rothfuss thing where I tell people that there's another book coming,
And
and
it
then like
never
8 years
comes.
later I finally put it out.
And then, yeah, like he did that, and Gene All did that, and a bunch of other ones did that. And you're like, you know what? Fine.
Like
Yeah.
I want to wait for you to finish
but
this, but
but
I
like,
also want to read some other stuff, so I'm just gonna go and do that.
I'm just gonna go do
And
that, yeah, and then completely
yeah,
forget about you until one day, like, oh my god, when did this come out? So
exactly.
which is super annoying. But um, you are obviously a regular content creator on TikTok, especially. When you first started doing content, there's an inherent anxiety and like fear of being in front of a camera. How did you overcome that, or did it come naturally to you when you first started?
Oh man. So I have a long-standing history with not necessarily being in front of the camera, but like performing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been a performer since I was in middle school. On stage, was in all the choirs and things coming up in high school. Did a lot of theater and drama and stuff. Uh, Went to college, majored in music, and was actually in a few opera. So
Ooh.
I have experience there with kind of the performance aspect of it. The camera thing, that was a little harder for me.
Okay.
But I actually had the whole fun story. The entire reason I even started doing any of this was because my daughter saw a bunch of the D&D TikTok compilations on YouTube
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "Dad, you can do this. Like,
Mm.
you know about this stuff, and you're funny and you can act and stuff. You should try it." And so it was a lot of her kind of like egging me on,
Okay. Okay.
and that helped with that.
Mhm. Oh, at least you had somebody in your corner with that, which is always fun. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of unnatural being in front of a camera with no one there. Just kind of post it, but I digress. We're working on it. So recently on TikTok, there have been some authors, and as a writer, I want to ask you this question. That have taken criticism of their books. Well, haven't taken criticism of their books very well. Um, they've lashed out at the community for their. They've asked the community for their feedback, and then in turn, when they get the critique, have lashed out. What are your
Sure.
thoughts on the reactions, and how do you, as an author, handle that type of negative critique?
Um, that is a great question. I have seen some of that in like the book talk community,
Mm-hmm.
and I find it interesting because I mean you ask for this feedback and then you get it, and then like you can't expect everyone to like the things that you put out there into the world. Like
Right.
as a creator, that is something that I have had to come to terms with quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and so like your work may not be for everyone, but it's gonna be for someone.
Right.
And so, like when I see or hear about these authors like reacting poorly, it just kind of makes me sad,
Mm.
and it's disappointing. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, dude, I'm sorry that this got under your skin this way. Uh, but I mean, you also kind of have to expect that not everyone's gonna like what you do. That's kind
Right.
of like part and parcel of being a creative in this world. Like
Right. Right.
you find your tribe,
Mm-hmm.
and you know folks will draw, or you know the folk your tribe will find you essentially.
Right.
uh, and that's kind of how I started writing and just kind of putting my stuff out on the internet randomly,
Mm-hmm.
and you know folks that liked my stuff, you know they would comment, and I haven't gotten any like weirdness on my own work, and I'm guessing that folks kind of adhere to the same rule that I do, whereas
Mm-hmm.
like if I don't have anything good to say about the thing, I'm not going to say anything, and I'm just also just going to not read it anymore. Like that's just
Just stop reading it.
yeah, it's like it's real easy to just be like, not for me. Just keep it moving.
So you're not of the group of people like me who once they start a book, even if they don't like it, they have to finish it.
Oh no, I will finish the book. I'll 100% finish it.
Mm-hmm.
And just because I may not like a certain bit of the book, but and my wife is a huge reader, and she's like, no, I understand that this part is kind of weird, but keep
Right.
going, and she's
Right.
kind of like helped foster that in me,
Mm-hmm.
to kind of like keep at it. It's kind of the only reason I ever finished the Twilight series, which
Yeah, yeah, that was it was rough. It's rough. It is like
boy.
I thought the movies were bad, but that those books are rough.
Mm.
Mm.
Like when they turn the vampires into the X-Men at the
Oh,
end, and I'm like, wait, what's happening right
yeah,
now? Um,
it was a tough read for me. Like,
but it's like, but that's a that's a perfect example. Like,
mm-hmm,
I read those, I did not really enjoy them,
mm-hmm,
but I did not like go on a tirade and like attack the author, or any of that stuff. And you know, I keep my opinions to myself and to friends,
mm-hmm.
uh, and you know, I don't make a huge deal about it. And like you know, there are folks who like the critique who you know that's kind of their entire thing,
Right.
and that's fine. Not to spit at anyone who does that, you know, for a living or anything like that. But
Mm-hmm.
you know, like you gotta expect that kind of
Right. Right.
being in this. Like I've had a couple of folks like reach out to me like, hey man, I wasn't really a fan of, you know, this particular TikTok you did,
Mm-hmm.
for blah 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 whatever reason, and I'm like, that's cool, man.
Right.
That's cool. Like
Right. Like
I'm
I get
clearly not your
it.
demographic.
Right. I get it. I get it. Cool. We're good with that. That's okay. You know, we're good with
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I totally get it. So, um, are there any plans to make your current books audio?
That somewhat because I mean they are fairly short stories.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Uh, if there is ever a point to where I do a like collection of short stories, then yes, 100% I would love to do that collection and have it also in
Mm-hmm.
audio format, because it's one of it's the main way that I consume books now,
Right.
is
Same.
via audiobook. So like I would definitely want to make it accessible in that way for folks.
Okay, so if you do that, um, how hands on are you want to be in having a voice actor, um, finding a voice actor for your work, or do you plan on doing it yourself?
Okay, see, this is a great question. So, this is kind of a two-part answer.
Okay.
So, if it's just like a standard audiobook, where it's just like one person reading all the parts, and yes, I would absolutely love to be the person reading
Mm-hmm.
all of it. If it's like one of those like full cast recordings, like they did with Good Omens and a couple of other
Yeah,
books,
yeah.
then yeah, I need to be involved in the casting process at the very least, because I know what my characters sound like in my head, and I want to
Mm-hmm.
make sure that we get as close to that as possible,
Right, right.
to kind of bring out like the full spirit of the book. Um, so yeah, that's that's my answer, to the two pronged as it is.
That's perfectly fine. So, um, we talked about in the beginning how you have the plethora of things that you do, which are all very time consuming, and then you added cosplayer to that list. Why would you add something that is so time consuming as well to your already busy schedule?
Well, it's fun,
Mm-hmm.
uh and like I fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to take this, I'm not one of those people that like sit at a sewing machine and make all of my costumes myself. I piece it together
Okay.
from stuff that I buy on the internet.
Okay.
uh I think the one, there's a piece that like my wife helped me make,
Mm-hmm.
for last year's Gen Con.
Okay.
And I think that's like the only like homemade costume piece that I own right now.
Okay.
Um, so it felt right, for like the characters that I was portraying via TikTok, that they all have their own kind of like individual costumes,
Mm-hmm.
and that was, it was easy to do,
Okay.
for the most part, and easy to find kind of, the materials and clothing pieces to help make those, characters come to life. Some of those pieces weren't even meant to be part of a character. I just happened to have it there, and it was like, I think this might work for you. All right, cool. And then we did it, and it worked, and it became kind of like a long standing, thing. Like some of my characters
Yeah.
have gone through kind of an evolution of costume. Like
Mm-hmm.
Badru. Badru has been
Yes.
through so many changes over the
Like I was
time with him.
like that's a different character almost. Like from when you first started that character to now, it's two
Yeah.
completely different things. So that's amazing to watch. But is that part of your aesthetic being? Do you have a theme, or do you just kind of go with how the character develops? So what would you say your aesthetic is in your cosplay?
Oh, it depends on the character that I am portraying,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. As you have seen, I portray a lot of bards because it feels closer to who I am as a person,
Okay.
and so they tend to be kind of the easier ones to put together, and they are kind of the very like flowy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
very, like, you could see this dude serving tea, at a tea house somewhere,
Right. Right.
kind of aesthetic. Whereas like characters like, my Hades and Valentine are very kind of like, embracing like kind of like that dark kind of
Yeah.
almost goth, not almost goth, very goth
Very
actually,
goth. Very goth. Not almost.
sensibilities,
Yeah. Yeah.
which also speak to like I grew up goth,
Okay.
and am still goth.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually supposed to, paint my nails today, but forgot because I had things to do. um, but it 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 all of these characters are, uh, boy, I'm about to quote Brendan Lee Mulligan, aren't I? I think I am. They are lenses into aspects of myself.
Okay.
So Valentine represents, kind of like my obsession with vampires.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Hades represents kind of my obsession with my long-standing obsession with gods of death and mythology.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, Badru is kind of like the bardic hero that I always wanted to be and always needed in my own life.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Raziel, I don't really know where Raziel came from, to be honest. Raziel is kind of a mixture of like that gothic sensibility,
Okay.
my obsession with death gods in mythology, and also kind of a bardic hero to a degree because
Really?
backstory wise, Badru was raised not Badru. Raziel was raised by bards,
Okay.
and
Okay.
he was the only like non-bardic sibling to be born of that family.
Mm.
And he kind of stumbled into being a wizard as opposed to having it be like what he set out to do.
Right. Right.
So Raziel's kind of a mix of those, and I don't know. The Champion of Bards is more or less like it's who I would be if I were a celestial.
Okay. Gotcha.
Like, what kind of celestial would I be? Well, he'd be this guy. He'd have dominion over stories and song and other like things of inspiration. He would be not necessarily a king of bards, but he'd be their champion. He'd be their patron.
Okay, I love that. So would you say other than your wanting to have like a bardic type characters, would you say tabletop RPG as what influences your cosplay heavily, or would you say it's fantasy books, or would you say it's just something else altogether?
Again, that kind of depends on the character. For the most part, they're inspired by TTRPGs. All of them, with the exception. Actually, no, I've actually played Hades in the TTRPG.
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So yeah, they're all at some point have been TTRPG characters.
Okay.
But they're all not like Valentine was just inspired by like, oh, there are vampire characters out here too. Cool, I can do that. Sure. All right, I'm gonna tap into that and have a little bit of fun with it. And then the whole like modern Hades, modern Greek gods tag that went around, and I kind of got pulled into that. Hades was supposed to be a one-time thing.
Right.
I was only ever supposed to do that once, and if people loved it so much, and I loved it so much that it just kept going.
Blew up. Like the Hades thing blew up very, very quickly. Especially on TikTok. It is
did not expect
huge
that.
on TikTok, like massive, like to the point where it's like, dude, what the hell?
Like, so many Persephones out there just like, duet me now, and I'm like, all right, I promise.
So many duets. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, it's so many duets, and I love it. Like, I just, it's amazing. Cosplay is also like a very young person's thing, like especially now. How have you been able to bridge that age gap that is different between you and up and coming cosplayers?
That's a really, really good question. Great question. Fantastic question. My answer is that I just don't care. I've been into costumes. Like Halloween is my favorite holiday of the year.
Right.
Like, hands down, 100%. And I don't know. Again, thanks to my daughter giving me like the push and the confidence
right.
to just kind of do it. It's just been like, well, I'm here now. Might as well. To hell with it. And I just did it. And there was no real thought in my head in the beginning about my age.
Okay.
That didn't come into play until like later on when I actually started meeting some of these people that I was cosplaying with and duetting with, and realizing, oh my god, I'm so much older than you are. And then I started to feel old, but it was too late by then. I couldn't stop.
Now it's like crap.
Oh no, I can't pull out now. Can't do it. All right, keep it steady.
Do you find that with that age gap, people come to you for advice, or do you feel like they see you as a father figure? How do you think they see you?
Oh my gosh! If anyone sees me as a father figure, I have not been alerted to that one yet. Well, no, or at least in the cosplay world, not so much. In the as far as community goes, sure. But as far as cosplay goes, it's I don't think I've been asked necessarily for advice, more than I've been asked for, that's a really cool piece that you have there. Where'd you find that?
Gotcha.
And I'm
Okay.
like, oh yeah, well I'll find this here. Here's the link. Blah blah blah. Like one thing I'm never shy about is like letting people know where I get the materials and tools and stuff that I use, because I mean it's out there, it's available. I'm not a gatekeeper, and I'm never going to like withhold that stuff from people who just want to have fun with it.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. So cosplay is also like one of the most expensive. I think the expensive thing that you can do in the space that we're in. How do you mitigate that cost? Because you, like I said, you do a plethora of other things that have a tendency to cost money, as well as being a husband and a dad. You know, how do you mitigate that cost?
Being smart about budgeting has been a fun time. In the beginning, like I mean, and even like to this day, a lot of my cosplays are closet cosplays.
Okay.
So like Hades and Valentine, 100% things I already had in my closet.
Okay.
The only things that were added were the fangs, and for Valentine, the little claws. I found those on Amazon for like $7. Like finding like I will find a good deal and I will exploit it whenever I can.
Right.
Like I said, the robe that I use now for Badru, like the black and white one, that's something I had ordered like just as the pandemic started, before I even got into TikTok at all. Just kind of like, oh, this is a comfy robe. This is fine. It's comfy and flowy. And then started doing content, and eventually was like, this kind of looks cool. As well as like the Shinobu Haori that I wear with Baju's kind of current look, and also the Champion's look. Also very much I just want this Haori. Like, I had no intention of it being a cosplay thing. I just wanted it.
Right.
And then started to use it in the cosplays and stuff. It's like, oh, well, this works. That's lovely. I'd probably say like the most expensive thing that I own cosplay wise is the hat.
Ooh, I love. I was always wondering, is that really leather? Like, where did you get it?
Yes, it is.
I was like, what the hell? Where did you get this?
I got it my first Gen Con. Let me see if I can find. I don't remember the name of the seller off the top of my head, but they have an Etsy that I direct people to whenever I get asked this question, because they are amazing.
Oh, that's so
I love their hats, and if I could have more, if I could afford more of their hats, I absolutely would, because they are absolutely favorite shops. There we go. They are called Blonde Swan Hats.
Blonde. If you could drop it in the Discord, I will 100% drop it in the chat if you're not on Twitch right now.
Blonde Swan Hats. That's the name of the shop. And let's see. Oh,
got it.
Try and get a link to them as well, and I can give you. But they were at Gen Con my first year there. And I saw like so many people like walking around with these like wizard hats. I'm like, no, I've always wanted.
I need a wizard hat. I need a wizard hat immediately.
And saw that one, and I'm like, do you have a hat big enough for my head? Because I have a larger cranium, and it makes it, and along with the hair, it makes it hard to find nice hats. And they just so happened to have one, and I was like, it's our last one of this size, and I'm like, I'll take it. Like it's expensive. I don't care.
I don't care.
To me,
give me.
I have budgeted for this.
Like, give me what I want and give it to me now.
Yeah.
So
that's probably the most expensive piece I own.
That is so cool.
Like, it's everything else. Like, I don't think I've paid more than like $50 for any like piece that I have.
Oh, $50. So you're really budgeting. So because because honestly, I've known people who have spent thousands of dollars either fabricating it themselves or buying something that they get someone else to fabricate. So that's a
Yeah.
budget. um,
Yeah, I've thought about hiring other people to make stuff for me, and
mhm.
then I see how much they charge, and I'm like, you know what? Someday I would love to be able to afford to hire you and like actually like give you money, but I
Mhm.
can't right now because, good lord, that's way more than I have
Like
bargained
that
for.
day is not now.
Yeah, day is not right now.
Like I get it, I get it. So, um, TTRPG is pretty niche. Why did you choose it as a social media outlet? Because even though it is growing, it's still very niche. Why TTRPG?
Um, Honestly, it was something that I had a lot of experience with, and it was something that like I resonated with a lot of people. And that at that point, this was 2021. I
Hmm.
was already 3 years into the Agents of the Circle podcast,
Okay.
and had a few listeners, but really wanted to try and like attract more listeners. So that's what my TikTok was initially supposed to be. That's why I called myself Circle DM for so long,
Hmm.
because it was initially supposed to just be excuse me, a TikTok about Agents of the Circle, and then it turned into what it's become now. Uh, but yeah, that was the main reason I got into it, to kind of like talk about the show,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
then I started to kind of like weigh in on other things that were happening in the
Gotcha.
TTRPG community and in the space, and kind of evolved from that.
Okay. Okay. Wow. So there has also like there's a lot of debates that happen on TikTok. Usually, there's some Instagram is its own thing. Twitter, it's still Twitter. By the way, people, it's still
I
Twitter.
will never. I will.
I'm not
If
calling it X.
if I believe in dead naming one thing, it will be Twitter.
Exactly. It's
Always be
like
Twitter.
I am not calling it X. It's Twitter. But
Yeah.
like I said before, so um, it there has been some couple things that's been going on, but especially on TikTok, where there's this huge debate about what or who can be cosplayed and by which group. What your like? What are your thoughts on that? Like,
Well, first and foremost, blackface is never okay.
yeah,
Let me put that out there
duh.
right now. Blackface, not okay, never okay. Um, but like when I see the folks criticizing other folks, especially people of color,
Mhm.
when we cosplay like Japanese characters or whatever. I always go back to that one trend that happened. Hinata isn't black. She
Black.
gonna be black today. She gonna be black today. Um, like, as long as you do it with like respect to the
Mhm.
character and to the source material, like
Right.
no one should really give a damn.
Right.
Uh, and then also, as long as you're not like utilizing methods of costume that are harmful to the groups that you are
Yes.
that those cosplays belong to.
Right. Right.
So again, blackface, not okay. Yellowface, not
Not
okay.
okay.
I would not do whiteface even if it were not like clown makeup.
Right. Exactly.
It's just not something that I would do. Being culturally sensitive
Mhm.
is something that I think all of us as cosplayers and as TTRPGers should take into consideration when we create these characters and
Right.
create these personas and things. So
I,
that's,
I,
that's my 2 cents.
it's a good 2 cents. um, and if you scroll through Twitch, the majority of the gameplay for TTRPG specifically isn't very diverse. You are bridging that gap by playing in several separate channels, like ADH. And I always have a time saying their channel, but ADHD Adventures,
It's
Agents of
AH Adventures.
ADH Adventures. Thank you. Agents of the Circle, Dinner in the Game, as well as being a player in Castleton. How do you think your presence has opened the doors for other Black and POC players?
That is a good heavy question. Um, I don't know how many doors I've opened, but I hope that there are other BIPOC creators and TTRPGers out there that see me and see so many of the other like amazing BIPOC creators that are out there in the space and are inspired to start playing, to inspire to start kind of auditioning for these streams and games and are inspired to start streams themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I can only hope that folks look at people like me and all the other like amazing, like I said, amazing creators that are out there that don't get the recognition that they should,
Right, right.
uh, and uh, take that as their sign to, you know, start doing it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's out here for you. It's it's no longer. I mean, there's gonna be gatekeepers wherever you go. Let's
Yeah,
be honest.
yeah,
But
yeah.
it's no one is going to actively stop you from doing what you want except for you.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? Life is short, and the capitalist hellscape is long and enduring. So why not do what you want to do anyway?
um, you obviously are garnering a following based off of your gameplay and the things that you do on TikTok. But specifically in TikTok, you have 61,000 followers, or a little bit over at this point, and they are
Still wrapping my head
slowly.
around
I,
that. I
look,
don't know how it happened.
I think what happens is that the road to 10,000. Once that 10,000 happens, it just takes off from there. But the hardest is the road to 10,000. Believe me, I know. I've been at 1,800 forever. But the TikTok is 61,000. How do you um, maintain a sense of community with that large of a following?
I think community interaction is a huge part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think when I make my videos, especially when I address my followers and my viewers, uh, a big part of it for me is like just talking to them like they're people,
Right.
not not like don't don't talk down to them. Make them feel welcome. Like
Right.
I try to exude Uncle Iroh energy if I can. Uh, like later Uncle Iroh, not war criminal Uncle.
Not war
That's a
criminal.
whole that's a whole different uncle. But like good like tea drinking Uncle Iroh energy.
Right.
And
Right.
like I think I like to think that resonates with people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why they stick around. Um, and you know, of course, through all like the streaming and things that I do, I try to interact with folks in streams,
Right.
and you know, kind of uh, let them know that, you know, I see you. You're here, and you are important, being here, and I'm glad that you're here. So like in engaging with them however I can, like I'm a part of like several Discord communities where I talk to folks within the community, and it's always just being as kind and compassionate as you can, because I mean it costs you nothing, and you and I have both seen
Yeah.
the results of doing the opposite,
Yeah. Yeah.
and being a dirtbag and seeing what that gets, and I'm like, that's one, that's not who I am,
Right.
and two, like I I I want to give people the kindness that maybe they're lacking in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Be that person to them that maybe they feel like they can be themselves with, and that's important.
That's awesome. I love that. So uh, it's so funny because you are obviously a player in a lot of different channels, but you also market yourself as a game master. Are you primarily a player, or are you primarily a GM?
Um, Mostly a player.
Okay.
Uh, Agents of the Circle was the game that I GM'd for a while, and that just came to an end as of 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Um, so as of right now, I am just a player, but that will not stay that way for long.
that really.
I'm
When can
already
we?
working on the next thing.
Oh, that's awesome! I can't wait to see. So we could see you coming into either TikTok or Instagram or maybe Twitch or one of these platforms as a GM sometime.
Yeah, well, I've already kind of been putting things out there,
Okay.
via TikTok and Instagram, kind of helping to advertise for the next thing, it's called the Everbright Archives,
Okay.
which I am hugely proud of. Probably my most ambitious project yet. I don't know how I'm going to pull it off, but I'm gonna.
I'm gonna make it happen somehow,
It's,
some way.
it's definitely gonna happen. So yeah, I'll be back in the GM seat sooner than you think.
Okay, okay. So fingers crossed. Um, do you plan on making even just uh, advertising, or rather than advertising, but professionally GMing for, for as a revenue?
That's something that I have considered often,
Mm-hmm.
especially my current position as being jobless. It has come up multiple times,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know, like even now, like the thought of doing it for like as a job
Okay.
feels weird.
Okay.
It feels like there'd be so much extra pressure,
Okay.
so much so that it wouldn't be fun anymore. And like for those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Prince fan. So I'm going to quote one of my favorite Prince films, Under the Cherry Moon,
Mm-hmm.
where he's he's been given this gift of tarot cards
Mm-hmm.
by the lady, one of the ladies that he's after,
Mm-hmm.
and someone else is like, "Oh, is that something you do for a living?" And he answers, "I don't do anything for a living. Everything I do is for fun."
Oh,
And I'm like,
nice.
that's the mindset I want to keep.
Right. See, I love that. It would be great if I didn't have to do things for a living and I could just do everything for fun. That'd be
Damn it,
amazing.
capitalism.
But that's just like apparently a pipe dream. But it's okay. It's perfectly
Yeah,
fine. I'm okay with it. Promise, I'm
yeah,
okay with it. Um. So, just just um.
yeah.
How about like people? A lot of people try to like give advice on TikTok about how to be a DM, how to be a GM. Um, is that going to be part of what you do as well, or just completely just
Yeah,
like
I've done that to a degree.
okay,
Um, it's just, I mean, if folks ask me for more like GM and TTRPG advice content,
mhm,
absolutely. I mean, I kind of planned on doing something to that degree, kind of in conjunction with the new podcast that I'm going to be producing.
mhm, mhm.
Uh, so yes, I guess is the, the short answer to that.
I
Yes, I
guess
will be doing more of that content.
awesome. So, hey, it's Dirty Say, welcome in. So I'm like, oh, guys, stop making me blush. Like, oh my god, you're two of my favorite people.
Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Okay. Anyway, so um, I kind of want to move along, because I love, and people know this. Wizards of the Coast is one of my favorite things to talk about because they keep doing things that make no sense. Um, I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the new PHB, some of the things look absolutely freaking amazing. I'm super excited. Um,
Sure.
and that's great. But they have misstepped. Um, their latest misstep was the redesign of the D&D Beyond marketplace, where they took away
Mm-hmm.
the a la carte system. Another misstep they did with the OGL debacle, where they had to like quickly backtrack, like
Yeah.
so fast that probably broke an ankle. Um, um, Along with some other things that they decided to do. What is your opinion of this new scheme of gaming companies' insistence on making it harder for consumers to access their games that they love?
Um. Well, my stance on that is, okay, if you're gonna make it harder for me to do the thing, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna do your thing. I'm gonna find another thing to do.
Right.
I'm gonna do a thing that is easier and much more uh, open to everyone.
Right.
When Agents of the Circle came to an end, I made the decision that was going to be the last D&D game I ran. Uh,
Ooh. Okay.
Specifically because of all of like the OGL stuff, the stuff with oh, I can't remember the name of the space thing that they did with the Hadozi and all of that insanity. Um,
I see when as soon as someone else says it, I do the same thing. Like, what's the name? I know what you're talking about, though.
they're on tip of my tongue. And then like hearing about all the new stuff that they're doing with this new D&D that they're doing with the new PHB and all of the ad hoc stuff for D&D Beyond. I'm like, or the lack of ad hoc for D&D Beyond. And it's like, yeah, I'm sticking with that choice. I'm not coming back. I'm not coming. I've already canceled my D&D Beyond subscription. So it's like I'm done. Yeah.
Oh wow! Seriously?
Yeah, I will be running other games instead of D&D.
That makes me sad. Oh.
Well, it's kind of the part of the premise for the new show. We can talk about that later if you want.
Yeah, we can talk about that later, but that still makes me sad.
Yeah, it's not to say that I will not continue playing in D&D games, but I will no longer be giving them my money.
Whoa, what was that? I'm hearing something. I don't know what that is, but that was weird.
Oh.
Hang on a second. I don't know where that came from.
The Wizards of the Coast hear that? They're coming for
They're
us
like,
now?
they're like, ah!
How dare you speak against us?
How dare you talk? There is no talking. That was bizarre. I don't know where that came from. Hang on, I gotta find out where that noise came from, because I don't like it. I don't like random noises.
Fair.
Okay, I don't know. It went away, so we're happy. But yeah, so because of that, do you think that a lot of people are going to go the way of when 5e came out because of the backlash of 4e? Do you think that's going to happen with this new D&D, or do you think people are going to gravitate to Pathfinder or some other system?
I don't know. I think there's always going to be the kind of like diehard D&D people that will stick with the system and will just like change along with the time. But I do think that there are a lot of us that have been disillusioned by the actions of Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro in the last couple of years that are just done have decided to move on to the more quote unquote beggar talk side of things, where we're just like, here are some other cool games that you might not know about. Try those instead. Right. I don't know. It's going to be an interesting split, I think.
Okay. So, I wanted to know, you game a lot. You play in a lot of different channels. What is the most important life lesson you've learned from gaming so far?
Ooh. As both a player and as a GM, probably the most important life lesson is embrace change. You never know how things are going to shake out, and sometimes rather than like fighting against it and railing against it, which you can do from time to time, rolling with it and figuring out how to incorporate it so that you can make your life work, or rolling with it and finding the ways in which you can dismantle the thing that you do not like, and then work against that in that way. But there's always that change is inevitable, that you can't control everything.
Right.
While you can't control everything, there's damn sure things you can do about it.
Yeah, there are some things you can do about it. And speaking of some things you can do about it, sometimes there are obstacles that are in your way. And I don't always ask this question because it seems like weirdly baiting to me. But as a black man, as a black person DMing, and playing in a TTRPG space, what are some obstacles that you have endured at your early tables that you've been at?
I think tokenism is probably the main one, specifically at early tables. A lot of tables that I mean, even before I started DMing, I was the only black person at a table.
Yeah.
And it was like in those first couple of tables, it didn't really like dawn on me at the time, or dawn on me like right away until later. I'm like, I'm the only brother here. There's not another person of color at this table. Where are all the brothers at? Where are the sisters at? Where are we at? So that was its own thing. And then like trying to find representation of yourself as a POC or BIPOC person, a black person, in these fantasy worlds that have been created for TTRPGs. Specifically, when I first started playing Dungeons and Dragons again, after because I initially started playing during like second edition, and then came back for fourth edition, and like even in just like the art and like the depictions of the characters, I think that I might have seen like one black person in like one. I don't think it was even in the PHB. I think it was in like Xanathar's Guide to Everything in fourth edition, where it was like a black paladin woman, and I'm like, she's fire as hell. Why is she the only one? So that those two things have been kind of the main obstacle that I have seen. And it's been interesting because like now I look at some of the games that I get invited to with a much more focused lens, as like, am I being asked to play because I like they absolutely like want me there, or am I the diversity hire? And it's like, oh, gotta analyze that one. Gotta unpack that. Damn, that's not that's uncomfy. But it's a question I have to ask myself whenever I get invited to a new table.
Right.
And it shapes how I answer and how I proceed with that table. You know, I think I'm the only person of color now at like maybe 2 of the tables that I play in out of all of the tables that I'm in.
Oh wow!
Or rather, I'm the only black person at those tables. I'm not the only POC. There's other POC and like indigenous folk usually at those tables. And the channels that I am in are very, very good about embracing the diverse, both, you know, whether it be ethnically, whether it be, you know, sexually, or gender fluid, or whatever. Like all of those things are welcomed and are what's the word I'm looking for? Are celebrated at the tables that I'm a part of now. And that's something that I look for when I join tables, as opposed to I'm trying to steer away from those obstacles.
Yeah. It's the steering. It's the steering. It's usually the issue. You know. So with the you're a lot. I see you a lot on Twitch and on TikTok. But the social media platforms in which you play on podcasts, TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. They're all very different. Your largest following is TikTok, though. How different is it when you move to another platform? How does it feel aesthetically within the different communities?
It is like largely like a lot of my, or at least on Instagram, a lot of the people that follow me are like friends from like my real life, I guess. Which is weird. But like it is slowly kind of begun to cross over into like friends from the TikTok and friends from the TTRPG space. The same with Twitter. I feel Twitter, it's become a bit larger scoped in that crossover than it is maybe on Instagram, I think. So it's interesting trying to like upload videos that are longer than a minute now on both of those platforms. And it's like, oh, if you want to do that, you've got to pay for a subscription. I'm not paying you money for this. So like I have to pay for it now. It's like this is dumb. So I will find ways around that and exploit kind of loopholes that will allow me to do that stuff anyway, for free, because
hold it in.
But it feels a lot. It's very different. Those two platforms than TikTok. There's not always kind of. I mean, and it can be that way on TikTok too. There's not always like the instant gratification of like someone seeing it and being like, bam, immediately. So it's just now a level of like, all right, I have to be patient about this, and Someone might not see it today, but like maybe in a couple of weeks or a couple of months, even someone will see it and be like, "Hey, that's cool." Like I
Right.
see it even now with on TikTok. Like someone recently like commented on something I put out like a year ago, and it's like,
It's
"Oh my
so
god, this is amazing!"
weird.
And I'm like, "How did you? How did this come up on your FYP
It's
from
so
like a year and a
weird.
half ago?"
It's so weird that happened to me. I'm like, I made that TikTok like a year and like 16 months ago. Why am I getting a comment? Like what?
Right.
Like
Like, and
okay,
it's not that I mind getting the comment. It's like I did not know that that was still in the algorithm. Like
yeah,
I
and not only
but then
that,
you
but
also have
I don't remember it. Like,
there's also some of that sometimes. Like I don't remember making this.
like
I did that. Okay, it's cool and stuff, but I have no memory of this
I
post.
have no recollection of this. So, um, so I have to ask this question as a person who plays, but also as a person who has decided that WotC could go off,
Yep.
a cliff. Module or homebrew?
Ooh. So from a player perspective, the answer is yes. From a GM perspective, I'd say like module if you're first starting out,
Okay.
because it gives you kind of a ground, kind of not a ground. It gives you a path to kind of work with,
Gotcha.
especially if it's your first time and you're
Right.
not familiar with kind of the tropes and kind of the flow
Mm-hmm.
of GMing. Um, More experience. Oh, I'm homebrew all the way.
Yeah.
Home brew
All day long.
everything all day long. Like Agents of the Circle was I took Eberron and I home brewed the hell out of it. I changed so many things. Shout out to Keith Baker, who's actually a really cool dude I got to meet last year. Uh, but yeah, I changed so many things. I added continents and countries that weren't there. I switched up like power systems and dynamics and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like I made it. I made it my own,
Oh
which
wow.
is something that I encourage. Like you start out with what's there,
Okay.
learn to work it. I'll say the same thing that my music professors used to always tell me: learn the system, so that
Yes.
you can then learn how to break
Break
it.
it. Yep. Same thing I say all the time. Like if you can't break the rules if you don't know the rules. You know.
Exactly.
That's how I feel about almost everything. Um, so it's always been my opinion that people who stream are pretty much like these huge, like they're undiscovered, um, unrecognized directors and producers, actors, editors,
Yeah.
engineers. Where do you see yourself in the roles that I've just mentioned? Do you plan on expanding on any of them?
Um. Yeah. Um. I don't know that I will ever like head a stream per
Mm-hmm.
se.
Mm-hmm.
But given the podcast that I'm getting ready to that we're in pre-production for, definitely producer director. Uh, I am writing the entire score for the thing. Uh, so like I am and as well as being like a casting director,
Mm-hmm.
and actually and one of the talent
Yep.
as well. So it's I see myself continuing to play all of the roles at some point, um, and just like figuring out like the balance between them all,
Mm,
which is the trick, I guess.
right, right. So you just said balance. So how do you plan, or do you plan on balancing your writing, your with your DMing, and your acting as a player? Because it's essentially acting. Um, in this new podcast, do you plan on bringing all those aspects into it, and introducing some of the works that you're currently working on for your book, as well as um, doing the writing that you do for your live play?
It's funny that you mentioned that, because a lot of the stuff that I've written so far and that I've kind of like put together as kind of like a kind of mini source bible, I guess, for the book, have
Mm-hmm.
found their way into this this new thing that I'm doing,
Oh, cool.
and original stuff that's happening in this new thing that I'm doing has also begun to find its way into like, oh no, this will be great for the thing. So I'll make a note to put this here. So yeah, it's all cross pollinating. Absolutely 100%.
Okay.
So yeah, all those aspects will see each other quite often.
So you, I want to get a little bit into this new podcast you want to talk about. I feel excitement. I'm super excited. Can you tell us who the cast is going to be? When is this
Yeah.
going to pop off? What's going to happen? Is it going to be
So
on TikTok? Where are we going to get this?
so the Everbright Archives is essentially it's what I'm calling an actual play TTRPG anthology series.
Okay.
And the entire gist of the premise is you get 5 people sitting at a table together. Everyone at this table is going to have the opportunity to be both player and GM.
Gotcha.
We each will have anywhere between 10 and 20 episodes to tell a full and complete story. Each of us using a different setting and a different system that is not D&D or Pathfinder.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then once we're done with that story, it moves the position of storyteller, I call it, moves to a different player. The rest of those players then become people at the table, then become players. They become storyteller, brand new story. And then it'll go around until everyone's done that, and then we'll have a new cycle with myself and 4 new players, where we get to explore new stories and new systems. And this first cycle is, of course, myself. There's Madness Diamond. There is Bardic Sweet Tea.
Oh, nice.
Selkie Cove, and Bryniersa, who are
some
all
names
amazing.
There.
Yeah, they're amazing.
Some really good names there.
Yeah, I happen to, for all of them except for Madness Diamond, I ran a live show at Gen Con last year that they were all a part of, using the Glitter Hearts system. And what they did not know was that was essentially their audition. For this. So yeah, they passed the test with flying colors. It was great. And yeah, and it all came about kind of as I was already kind of planning on doing something to this degree, but as many of you know, I go by the I've attached the title of the Champion of Bards to my name. It has been so since 2021, largely due to kind of that whole thing that happened back then, where there was like the bad boy of D&D TikTok, and then everyone was giving each other and themselves titles. So I chose that one, and no one fought me on it.
Same thing happened. I was like, I'm from New York, so I'm going to be New York GM. No one said anything. There you go. All right, fine.
And then last year at I can't remember what event it was I was at last year. It wasn't Gen Con because it hadn't come up yet. But people started kind of like, so why are you the Champion of Bards? Why am I'm the Champion of Bards because no one else wanted the title. I took it and no one else said anything about it. If someone else had said like I want to be the champion, then we would have figured that out somehow.
Right.
But like no one else wanted it, and no one else claimed it, so I did. And then I got the idea of like, what if there were people out there who wanted the title?
Okay.
And so this very first cycle came up with the idea that we have these bard sonas, the 5 of us, all of us being these like celestial beings that are old and ancient, and that my bard sona, the Champion of Bards, has seemingly come to this title without cause, without due process.
Okay.
And so these other celestials are like, what the hell? How dare you call yourself the Champion of Bards?
Right.
There are others who might be more worthy. And so this very first cycle is also a contest. It is the Battle of the Bards.
So you can you lose your title?
there is potential for me to lose my title.
Oh no!
When this very first cycle of the show, and it will be audience participation. So
Oh
we're
no!
setting up a Ko-fi, we're setting up a Discord, we're setting up a website where folks can vote every story on like favorite characters, favorite moments, things like that. But also by the end of the cycle, they'll be able to vote on their favorite storyteller, and whoever the favorite storyteller is becomes the new champion of bards. And I will, if I lose my title, I lose my title. I'm fine
Oh
with
man!
that.
Oh, I'm
But
scared for you,
yeah,
man. Like,
I
I'm
mean,
totally.
I have other titles that I can use that are not so divisive, I guess. But I've got I am both confident that I will put up a good fight, but I'm also confident in the opponents I chose.
Right, right, right.
That they will also like give it give it give it as good as they get it. And you know, who knows if I have to lose to any of them, I would not be upset.
Okay, I
It
mean,
will be a fight well worth having.
oh boy. I mean, to lose your title though, like that's a big deal.
It's a big deal, but I think it will also get us a lot of listeners and a lot of it'll attract some folks like, oh, what is this? Like he might lose this title. There are people coming after his title. What is happening right now? So like if you can look on all of our social medias and
Okay.
you'll see kind of our kind of backstories
Okay.
for our bard sonas where they are all in the process of challenging the champion of bards
Oh, that's
and
amazing.
challenging this title that he's come by. And just to kind of give a bit of a spoiler, soon though the champion might drop a little bit of a video of his own,
Uh
being
oh.
like, "Oh, you want to know how I came to this title? Let me tell you how I came to this title." Uh, so I'm in the process of editing that one now, and that's going to be fun. And I mean, this is something that's an idea that we've all the five of us have signed off on and are very like involved in like crafting together.
Oh, that is
So
amazing.
I'm very excited for that.
That is super exciting. You spoke about Gen Con a couple of times, and we're gonna get into a little bit of what happened at Gen Con recently, or what has been
Sure,
happening at Gen Con. But you are a Crit Award nominee.
I
I,
am. Yeah.
I, I did miss the awards online award ceremony for multiple reasons. But how did it
Oh, it
go?
hasn't happened yet.
Oh, it hasn't
The
happened
award
yet. Okay.
ceremony is actually, I believe, it's scheduled for August 16th. I
Oh,
believe
okay, okay,
online.
okay.
So there's still time.
This
It's
so
happening
sad.
after Gen Con.
Okay, so that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
And
the
it's gonna be
voting is over
virtual.
though.
The voting
Yeah,
is over. And it's gonna be virtual, correct?
yeah.
So how does it feel to be nominated for a Crit Award? That's a big deal.
It's it's crazy. I did not expect it. It came when I got the email that I had been nominated. I was like, wait, what? Huh? What do you mean? Uh, I didn't think that that folks watched the show that I was nominated for, let alone knew enough about my character to nominate me for that character. So
Right, right.
it was a wonderful surprise, and definitely thankful and grateful to everyone who saw and who nominated me, because it's Emrys is just a mage
Mm-hmm.
trying his best while also trying to run a tea shop while also trying to be a dad. Like it's uh but also having these like supernatural things drop on him
Right.
one after the other. It's like
Things
I'm
just keep.
trying my best, y'all.
Like, give me a break. So, speaking of Gen Con, though, at the Critic Awards, unfortunately this year, the Critic Awards will not be at Gen Con. What
Yeah.
is your opinion and thoughts on why the Critic Awards are leaving Gen Con, and um, what do you think is going to happen going forward in the future for next year?
Well, I am for one, and I for one, I will I'll be start with I 100% stand behind the Crit Awards, like
Yeah, agree.
100%. Like
Same.
they are in the right,
Yes.
and I am extremely disappointed with Gen Con
Yeah.
over this decision and over the actions they took to make this happen or to make this not happen, as the case happens to be.
Right.
And I think it says a lot about where their priorities lie.
Right.
As for what happens with Gen Con and the Crit Awards in the future, from my understanding, the Crit Awards will not be it will not be at Gen Con after this,
Right.
and neither will a lot of us, including myself.
Yeah.
This will be
Yeah.
my last Gen Con, so
So I
it's
would say,
sad,
yeah,
but
it's very
it's
sad. Yeah. Yeah. It's my first and my last, unfortunately. Unless something dramatically changes, and I mean
yeah,
dramatically changes. Um, and it's unfortunate because this would be my first Gen Con, was because I was convinced that um, a boycott of one is not a boycott. So, um,
yeah.
which is why I was like, okay, fine, I'll go this year. But now that this has happened, I'm like, well, dang it, I could have saved my money. I could have saved my dang ticket, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
the only reason that I'm still going is because I promised my daughter. My daughter's been wanting to go to the Gen Con for the last
mhm,
couple of years. We've made all the arrangements to go this year,
right,
and then everything happened, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm not gonna be that dad that like breaks his word because of
right,
this. Like,
right.
she was super excited about it, so
Oh,
we're
that's
still
so sweet.
going. I'm still in a couple of shows that are happening there,
Hmm, hmm.
but we're mainly just going to be like hanging out in the vendor hall,
Yeah, same.
and then like doing all the stuff outside of Gen
Hmm,
Con
hmm,
with
hmm.
the rest of our friends, going
Yeah,
to the zoo
same.
and stuff
So
like
I'm gonna
that.
get to see you at Gen Con. I'm excited about that. Yay!
Yeah,
Hi, get to see each other at Gen Con. So yeah, I mean, I get it. Like a lot of people are locked in money wise. You know, non-refundable rise. There's no choice. But it kind of sucks. But so
it
where do you
does.
think that Gen Con will go then? And obviously you don't. I mean, not Gen Con. The Crit Awards will go um, to find a home, especially how they have
Uh,
grown so much.
yeah, I don't know for sure where. I've heard talk of maybe like PAX U,
Hmm,
maybe PAX West, Big Bad Con.
hmm.
There's so many conventions that they
Right.
could go where I feel like they would be more than welcome.
Yes. Yes.
So I think for Gen Con, not Gen Con, for the Crit Awards, they may very well have their pick
Yeah.
of where to go. It's just a matter of like deciding, okay, well, we're gonna go here.
Right.
So we'll see. Time will tell. I know some folks on the board, so I will be kind of like, all right, well, you guys let me know, and
Hang
we'll
on.
we'll figure it out, and we'll do whatever. We'll be at that thing instead of Gen
Right.
Con.
So Gen Con. Did I just lose my stream? No, we're good. Okay. It happens every stream, people. Something happens. We have a little like kerfuffle, but it's okay. We're okay.
It,
Bitrate looks good,
as everyone seems to say, it's not a stream unless you have tech issues.
and it's not my stream unless something goes wrong. So, um, so with the way Gen Con handled this whole situation, do you think they've hurt their future?
I don't know. Uh, I think that they have lost a sizable portion of the TikTok community for sure.
Yeah.
If not the entirety of it.
Mhm.
I'd say, based on what I've seen already,
Mhm.
at least 80% of the people that I know
Yeah.
in the D&D TikTok community will not be going again.
Yeah.
Uh, so I know that that's probably only a small percentage of the money that Gen Con makes.
Mhm.
Uh, and we say in activism that you boycott with your dollars,
Yes.
and that's
Yes.
the most surefire way to get folks' attention. Whether or not this will be enough dollars to get Gen Con's attention and get them to kind of like, oh, we might have fucked up, is it remains to be seen. Um, I know that there are also a lot of vendors there that are reconsidering,
Mhm.
going
Mhm.
to other conventions and things like that in the future. So it's it's right now it's just a waiting game to see how that all pans
How it
out.
all pans out.
I'd like to hope. I want to be optimistic and say that Gen Con will turn around and they'll see kind of the error of the ways and have a change of heart. The practical side of my brain is like they probably
They
won't.
probably won't. I mean,
They're still gonna make
I've
money.
been in a personal battle vendetta with Gen Con for years, and yeah. So with
Fair.
with everyone being, a lot of people, this being their last Gen Con, do you think with the people who are mixing, who have decided this is it, I'm never coming back again, with the people who don't know what's been happening. Once they come together at Gen Con, do you think that that message will spread and they will seemingly end up having a problem?
I I'm pretty sure that the message will get spread.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Whether or not anything happens as a result is a coin cost. What's the twin a coin toss?
Coin toss. Coin
Wow.
toss.
It'll be a coin toss to see whether anything happens with that. I know that there are a lot of folks within the gaming space that are very well aligned with kind of the sensibilities that are like
Yeah.
that are pro everyone should be able to live
Yes.
and be alive and have the things that they need
And not be
uh,
genocided, but you know.
and not be exactly and there are those that also align with anti that.
Yes.
So it's been interesting to see in real time
Mm-hmm.
kind of uh, where folks lie and
Yeah.
which camps people tend to lie in. I am fortunate to be able to see the majority and along the lines of the anti-genocide,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
yes please.
Like, whew.
Yeah, like, oh boy.
It's like one of those
So
ones you're like, okay.
yeah, it's like please don't be a dirtbag. Please don't be. Oh, okay, I'm not a dirtbag. Oh God, thank you so much. Thank you. I didn't want to have to unfriend you too.
Okay. Which brings me to my next question. Um, People of color, black people, and indigenous people have a unique experience in that when things happen, we kind of hold our breath and wonder where our community will fall.
Yeah.
And it becomes a tension for us. Um, do you see it as being very different in the TTRPG space as to
No.
other spaces, as political spaces, or other spaces where they are more, where it's more advocacy?
I don't see it being very different at all.
Mm.
I because there are inevitably politics make their way into TTRPG space.
Yeah.
Whether it be fantasy politics that somehow resemble real world politics, which happens all the time, or games like World of Darkness and things like that that take place in modern day that have modern day politics and things like that attached to it. So it's interesting to see that, and I wish that we didn't have that like almost instinctual breath hold when this stuff happens. That has been ingrained in us for generations, unfortunately. But it's I mean, it doesn't surprise me either, because I mean, it's part of our experience as BIPOC people, as Black people, as people of color, and it is becoming more and more as the space modernizes and these games modernize as well, becoming a part of the TTRPG space. I mean, the conversations that we have over TikTok about whether it's okay to play Black characters in TTRPGs, or the whole debacle with the Hadozi, the whole
Hotel has been,
like all of that stuff. Like it's very, very clear and obvious that there are feelings of both like we should make things safe for everyone, and those other feelings of why should we make this safe for everyone? Why are you being such weird snowflakes about it? And it's discerning. There was one thing I read recently where it's like, you all want your TTRPGs to be cozy and things and blah 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 blah. I was like, Why can't they be
Like,
cozy?
I want to be.
Like,
This is my getaway. Go away.
yeah, this is my escapism. Why do I want to deal with the same racism I deal with on a regular basis?
Like,
Like
I
this,
don't need to be stressed all the time. Like, what do you
right,
mean?
right.
Like,
My DM is gonna stress me out regardless. At least I'm gonna be in a place where I feel safer than normal about it.
right, exactly, exactly. I need to be safe in my thing. Like, I don't need you to like freaking me out, bro.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, like I have exited games that were very like, well, here's God, the racial coding of like the drow and of
Yes.
orcs being a thing. I've exited games like off the strength of that. Like, nope,
Yeah.
that's not how I roll. That's not. I can't.
Okay, safe word,
If you
safe word.
can't see the racism here, I can't help.
Like, safe word, safe word, safe word, safe word, safe word.
Banana.
So I want to
Yeah,
go back to D&D a little. Actually, I'm sorry. Back to your writing a little bit. As
sure.
a seasoned writer, what advice would you give someone who's starting out as a writer?
Take your time.
Okay.
Take your time. Don't try to rush it.
Okay.
Your and I hate invoking his name right now because he's in the shit. But one of my favorite authors has been Neil Gaiman, and one of exactly. See,
Yeah, I got books back there too, and I'm like, God damn it!
like, I can't have nothing.
Like, shit, damn it!
But one of the best advice I read on writing was from him, where he's basically like, your first draft is basically you telling yourself the story,
Okay.
and then your second draft is you going through, correcting mistakes, and making it look like it was supposed to look that way all along. And I'm like, yeah, that's legit. That's legit. I'm here for it. And then to quote Ursula K. Le Guin, don't steal shit.
So we need to say that louder for the TikTok people who out there. I mean, there's nobody out there right now, but like, don't take anybody's stuff. Stop taking stuff. Please stop.
Yeah.
Please, like,
Like one of my favorite quotes from Ursula Le Guin. She was someone had talked to her about J.K. Rowling in the Harry Potter series, and it was very much so what do you think about this? And Ursula Le Guin did not pull punches. Bless her. She was like, I've seen this done. I've done this.
Yeah.
This, what she's doing, very derivative, very boring.
Same thing. Like, saw it already, but do you, boo?
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, I guess.
Like if folks like it, I guess it's successful. But a lot of us have done this track before and done it better.
Yeah, I've seen it, done it, and okay. So I want to know this. A lot of people usually say, if I ask what their biggest influence in their life is, they give me some huge names like Maya Angelou, or they say their father, or they say their dad, or their mom, or some family member, or they say some famous person. But what is one of your biggest influences that most people have never heard of?
Most people have never heard of. Oof, that is a good question. Michael Moorcock is one of them, which I know a lot of like modern readers might not be familiar with them. They are very much a like science fiction fantasy writer. They were mostly their short stories. One of the first sci-fi and fantasy book I ever received was one of his. It was a collection of his short stories called Tales from the End of Time.
Okay.
And it borderline, like, the stories went from the spectrum of like cool, cutesy, like folk tale-y to, oh, this is adult. And I was 14 years old getting this book in my hands for the first time. I don't think my dad knew the contents of the book.
Right.
It was just more or less like, here's a cool writer. I've heard about this guy. Here you go. And I ate that up and was like, I want to tell stories like this. And then, like, past that, Ursula K. Le Guin, reading through the Earthsea cycle. And the Earth-Sea cycle completely changed the way I viewed wizards, magic,
Mm-hmm.
and like global responsibility.
Right.
It was the first kind of book that, like, even as an allegory, it was definitely talking about like personal responsibility, global responsibility, climate change,
Mm-hmm.
like the effect that we have on our planet. And like whether she meant it to or not, like my 14, 15-year old brain read the first book of the Earthsea cycle, A Wizard of
Mm-hmm.
Earthsea, and was like, oh, that's deep and cool, and
Right.
I need more of this.
Oh wow.
And then lots of anime. Lots and lots
Lots
of
and lots of anime. I think that's
so much
most of our
anime.
community is like we like anime, anime, anime. It's funny because people are like, "What's your favorite anime?" I'm like, "I don't have one. I like them all, and that's a problem because I don't watch them all."
Yeah,
You know, major issue. Um,
yeah.
how many editions of D&D post pre giving up on WotC have you played so far?
See, so I've played second edition. I've never played three, but I have played 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
I've played fourth edition. I was there for D&D Next, which eventually also became fifth edition.
Okay, okay.
So that's kind of my D. I even played some of the board games that were based
Oh my
around
god,
D&D.
you play
So
D&D
Dungeon
board games?
Master. Yeah, I played. Was it Dungeon Master?
Oh wow.
There was there's another dungeon crawler type game
Mm-hmm.
that they put out. That was very like D&D inspired. Battle Master is another one that I played.
Okay.
Battle Master was actually like the first like war game type game that I ever played, and that was my gateway into Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so uh,
I didn't
yeah,
even know there
yeah.
are board games for D&D. Like I've been playing board D&D forever. Hey Neo, I've been playing D&D forever, and I've never there's D&D board games.
Yeah, like late '80s, early '90s. There were about like 3 or 4 different like D&D board games that came out.
Oh,
We happen to find them randomly at like garage sales and stuff because these games are
right.
way too expensive to buy in actual stores. So I had to wait until like someone sold them secondhand. Uh,
I
but
want.
yeah,
I'm gonna need a D&D board game. Like the nerd in me is like, why don't I have this in my collection? Neo
oh,
Sogod
there are
says
so
hi, by
much
the way.
more of them now. Oh my god, the
Really?
modern D&D games that are out now are crazy pants.
Okay, this needs to be a thing. I need to find where these board games are expeditiously. Like this needs to happen for me.
Yeah,
Um, because I need more
most
games in my
most
life.
most modern game shops generally will have at least like 1 or 2 of them, and will order more of them if you ask them to.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm gonna go. So now with the with your exodus from D&D, what other TTRPGs do you enjoy playing?
I really like a lot of like the powered by apocalypse games, like Monster of the Week,
Mm-hmm.
Glitter Hearts, Thirsty Sword Lesbians, um, uh, Masks. Uh, I love kind of the World of Darkness games. The
Mm-hmm.
World of Darkness games. Before I started playing D&D, the World of Darkness games was my first TTRPG. So I played like
Okay.
Vampire the Masquerade, Werewolf the Apocalypse, Mage the Ascension. Um, uh, I've never played a game of Changeling, but I always kind of wanted to.
Okay.
Um, there is, let's see, oof. There we go. Quest is a fun one that I was
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exposed to recently, thanks to That's Barnaby.
Okay.
Uh, it's a fantastic, like very very easy to play game.
Right.
Um, there is Good Society, which is a lot
Mm.
of fun if you're into like Jane
Yes.
Austen kind of like Bridgerton-y
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it is a diceless game. It is a lot of fun. Um, I Hunt is a fun one.
Okay.
Very kind
Okay.
of like Monster of the Weekish, but a little bit more complex
Mm-hmm.
in the
Mm-hmm.
rules. Um, I I have fallen in love with, and this is kind of becoming my new kind of my main game that I will be
Mm-hmm.
running, called Fabula Ultima.
Okay. Okay.
And if you are into JRPGs, it is based off of JRPGs like Brave the Default, the Final Fantasy series. Um, uh, why am I'm forgetting the name of
Because you're
Octopath
trying to think.
Traveler?
Yeah. Because you're trying to think of a bunch
Uh,
of them.
yeah, like it's the person that created those games, that Fabula Ultimate, loves all of those games and kind of like the job system and the class system. It's a lot of fun. If you tune in to the Everbright Archive, the game that I specifically will be running will be run using that system.
Oh, nice.
It is very, very cool and very, very adaptable. One of
Mm-hmm.
my favorite parts about it is um, during the session zero, before you ever make your characters,
Mm-hmm.
right after you have your safety tools and your session about that, and then you build your world together,
Oh,
the
that's
world that you're
awesome.
going to be playing in. And so, like, I build the world, I have maps already created, and I basically hand my players the maps, and I go, pick two places on the maps.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what it's called. What kind of, is it like a city? Is it a town? Is it a kingdom? Like, what is it? I want to know what are the mysteries surrounding that city or town. I want to know what threatens that city or town,
Oh, nice.
and I want to know like what kind of like flora and fauna are most prevalent around that area.
Mm-hmm.
And it gives the players as much agency in creating the world, and gets them invested in the world as much as it does the GM. So it's been a fun time. I just had a session zero for my daughter and her friends who are
Oh,
also going to be
awesome.
playing in this world, and they had a blast just with the session zero.
Oh.
So it's my favorite new system.
Oh, that's amazing. So I have
Yeah.
to ask, if you had to play, if you could play with anyone, dead or alive, real or fiction, up to 5 people,
Okay.
either play or GM for them, who would it
Okay.
be?
Oof. All right. All right. Here we go. All right.
I love this reaction when I ask this question. Like, I love this is my favorite question because the reaction is almost always like, "Ooh, who's gonna be?"
Okay. So first off, I gotta play with Abria Iyengar. She is
Mm-hmm.
she is she is on my list of like folks I either need to like DM for or play with at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Buster Rhymes.
Oh,
Uh,
really?
I would love to I would love to DM for Buster Rhymes. I created a character in Agents of the Circle that was very much based on him. He was an
Okay,
NPC
okay.
called the Dragon, uh, and I would love to watch Buster Rhymes play as that character in a game that I run. Um, Brennan Lee Mulligan, because I love his chaotic energy.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I feel like the majority of my choices are going to be from Dimension 20, but I don't care. Lee Wilson,
Mm,
same reason, chaos,
right.
and I'm here for it. I thrive on it. Um, I need one more. You know what? Richard Pryor.
Real? Oh, nice. No one
I
said
th-
that. That makes me so happy.
I think like Richard Pryor, specifically like Richard Pryor, like early '80s Richard Pryor,
Yes,
back when he was
yes,
like foul.
yes.
uh,
Just
just I would love to see what kind of character he would create and how
yes.
he would portray that character. It would make me incredibly happy and probably incredibly concerned, but more happy than concerned. So
I
yeah,
love that. I love that. So, s- outside of D&D, what other games and pastimes do you enjoy?
I love video games. I
Same.
am I'm an avid gamer. Mostly like anything involving sci-fi or fantasy. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
right now, I am on my second or third playthrough of Baldur's Gate 3, but I
I
also
have
like games
only
like
played once.
Control.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so play it again. It's so
I
different the
want
second
to,
time you play it.
but it consumed my channel. Like
That's fair.
it
That's fair.
consumed like the entirety of my channel. I was just like, I can never play, and I want to play on stream because it's the best time. But it takes everything over. Like I never want to do anything. I'm like, ah, you know.
That's fair. That's very
Yeah.
fair. I also love Destiny.
Okay. Okay.
I've been into Destiny since it came out. Uh, I also like farming sims. So
Really.
Coral Island right now kind of has me in a chokehold, uh, and I like planting my plants and romancing the villagers and tending to the monsters in the caves and stuff. It's fun for me.
I love that.
I
I
also
love that.
I love reading. I am in a book club where we do book. I want to say it's like a book every like 2 or 3 months that we all read through together,
Okay.
and we talk about. I think we're reading Cosmos right now, which is fun. Uh, but I also just kind of like hanging out with my family. We watch
Okay.
movies and game shows and stuff like that together,
That's
and we
amazing.
enjoy each other's company in that way. And I also I'm a big tea fanatic.
Okay.
I love tea. It is kind of a separate kind of passion that I'm kind of starting to include into
Mm-hmm.
my D&D and TTRPG content.
Okay.
Um, it just was recently made an affiliate of a local tea company called Friday Afternoon Teas.
Mm-hmm.
They are a local tea company run by a wonderful lady named Friday Elliott, uh, who has synesthesia, where she
Oh
can
wow.
taste
Okay.
words. And so
Really? That's a thing.
a lot of her, yeah, oh yeah,
Wait.
some of the
Wait. Wait.
blends
Wait.
that she
Wait.
makes.
So you can actually taste words.
hmm She had some content. I discovered her via TikTok randomly
Mm-hmm.
because she was answering questions as to like what certain names taste like. And I'm
Okay.
like, I didn't know. And this is the first time I had ever heard of synesthesia. So I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, that's fascinating. And
Yeah.
then she was like, yeah, I also run a tea shop where I make teas, tea blends based on the flavors of like words and names that I like. And I'm like, I need to find this place and
What is the
and
name
go
of the
there.
tea
And
shop? Can you please put that in? I need this. I need this link, and I need to find
yeah,
out what these words taste like.
it's called Friday Afternoon Teas. I will give you the link real quick. Here we go. Boop. And we'll put that in Discord there. Bang. Uh,
Awesome. Got it.
they they also make teas for fandoms.
Okay.
So there is like a Studio Ghibli collection. There is an Avatar: The Last Airbender collection. There's a Sailor Moon collection.
I'm
There's a
gonna
Firefly
go
collection. A Star
buy
Trek
stuff
collection.
now.
It's yeah. I have spent so much money there.
I'm
Uh,
gonna be spending
and
money I
uh,
don't need to spend apparently, but that's gonna happen because I need to taste the words too. Like,
yeah, it's like there's I don't know how many of the teas that she still has that are like based on like her favorite words. I'm pretty
mhm.
sure she has a collection of those, but
Right.
she also does like traditional teas and stuff like that as well.
Of course. Of
But
course.
like the main bread and butter, I believe, are like the fandom tea sets,
That's
which
amazing.
are
That
so
is
much fun.
so
Uh,
cool.
and there's some of them that there are very seasonal. For Pride Month, there was a Pride collection
Oh, cool.
of teas. Uh, uh, of my favorite among them, Earl Gay, which is like it's Earl Grey, but also with like a vegan cream,
Ooh.
rainbow unicorn sprinkles,
Oh,
and
wow.
like regular Earl Grey tea. It's fantastic. It's
Oh, that
so
sounds
good.
amazing. It sounds
Yeah.
amazing. So, we have some chat questions. So we
Ooh,
are at
I
the
like cat
portion
questions.
of that where we have a couple of chat questions here. Cloud Clover, who I can't wait to have a chat with you later, but Cloud Clover asks, how many tables total right now are you playing
That is a good question. Okay, so
in? Here we go.
uh, there is Emerald Sanctum, which is the World
Mm-hmm.
of Darkness one.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one I was nominated for.
Right.
There's Kingdoms of Mist, also with dinner in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, then there are two kind of short shots that are run with dinner in the game that we kind of alternate the other two with sometimes. That's
Okay.
four. Um,
Jeez.
uh,
God.
whew, yeah.
Jesus
There
Christ.
is what is it Heroes Arc, which is where I play Raziel, my necromancer.
Yeah, yeah.
And Unlicensed Magic, where I play Zan, who is
Hmm.
my paladin.
Okay, okay.
And then there's The Tale That Never Was, where I play Io, who is my Kalishtar Abertmine sorcerer. So
Hmm.
as of right now, I am actively in seven tables.
Jeez.
That does not count Agents of the Circle, which just ended, which would have
It
made
was
that 8.
8. Oh my god. Dude.
Yeah,
Like, so you just don't sleep, is what you're saying. Like,
I don't
I'm
sleep.
just gonna stay up and it's gonna be a thing, and sleep will
Yeah.
come eventually, I guess,
Yeah, well,
somewhere.
fortunately, the Heroes Arc and Unlicensed Magic War Crimes are both at ADH Adventures on Saturdays, and they just alternate. Every other Saturday,
Okay, so
it's one
that's
or
not
the
too
other.
bad. That's not too bad.
So yeah,
So, Clover also asks, how much do you read and how much is integrated into your homebrew?
how much do I read? Oh, the goodness gracious! Outside of book club stuff, I've got something to the degree of like 200 and something books on my Kindle.
Mm-hmm.
There's somewhere around 500 books on our shelves downstairs,
Jeez.
and I've got somewhere
God.
around like 75 books in my game room because that's all the shelf space I have for.
Mm.
So I read a lot.
You read a lot. Did you ever
um,
hear? Did you ever hear that if you, I think if you have over 1,000 books, you could be considered a library. Yeah, I started counting my stuff.
now I have to count
You have to
them all
count.
and make sure. Yeah.
So now my one of my mini goals is to get every one of my guests to count their books, because most of my guests read avidly because they homebrew and do all this stuff. And as soon as I say that, they go, "Huh, I have to count my books."
Yeah, I'm have to count.
Yeah.
I mean, just about everything I read somehow makes it into homebrew
Okay.
somehow. Because I read a lot of fantasy and a lot of sci-fi. I
Mm.
also read a lot of like anthropology books and not just anthropology, the other apology. Dang it, words. Words are not working well today. I read a lot of like Egyptology and mythology
Right.
as
Right.
well, and that always tends to make its way somehow, in some shape or form, into those settings. So, yeah, I read a lot. read a lot.
So, um, I just want to ask one question that it's not in the list of, I always obviously give questions, but it's not, wasn't in my, it just popped into my head because you mentioned it before at the beginning of the stream. What do you think of this whole crowd strike global thing as an engineer, as it being a little bit part of your, like, as being part of your soul, this whole crowd strike issue that has globally handicapped multiple systems around the world,
Listen, listen,
including me.
listen. Okay, listen. We, as we mentioned before, or before the stream started, uh, being a part of like that wave of folk that were laid off,
Mm,
like
mm.
across like tech companies
Yeah.
across the country right now. Um, I there's the part of me that like I feel really bad for anyone who has to deal with this.
Right.
It's sucky. It's
Yeah.
crappy.
It's
You
rough.
shouldn't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
On the other hand,
Neener,
on
neener,
the other hand,
neener.
these companies got rid of a lot of people that could have like I don't know prevented this whole thing from going down. So I don't know. Uh, I I feel like this was a very preventable experience
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that companies who uh, and it's been I've been in IT for like 16 years,
Mm, okay.
and in my experience. There is one overarching truth, and that is that companies, even if they proclaim themselves as tech companies, do not give two damns about
Yeah.
folks in IT.
Right.
They treat them as a problem and a burden, and we're always the first to go,
Right.
which is kind of like it's to quote my dad, it's bass backwards.
Yeah.
With that happens, it's like you would think, particularly in a tech company, that you want to keep the folks around that are,
Right.
I don't know, building and maintaining your tech.
Yeah. You think?
It's the whole if you don't have the people to maintain the spice does not flow, and when
Right.
the spice does not flow, the universe is in turmoil.
Also, I mean, I don't know if this ever held true or not, but I know that you don't do a system update on Fridays, but that's
You
just
don't
okay. I thought it
on
was
the
just me.
weekend.
I
Why
don't.
would you?
I thought it was just me. Okay, it's not just me. Okay,
No,
okay. Like you don't do a system update on Fridays, but that's besides the point. But you know, whatever.
no. You do it on like a Monday or a Tuesday when there's time and and manpower to be able to like, okay, we can sit down, we can handle this, we can take our time,
Right. Like
we can
do
pay
it on a
attention to
Monday.
it. Yeah,
Just do it on a Monday. Um,
never on a weekend though. That's just bad
bonkers.
planning.
Yeah. So we are at the point now where if chat doesn't have any more questions, I always allow my. I want to say thank you first of all. First and foremost, thank you for coming. This is so much fun. I had a blast,
Thank
and I will
you.
keep talking to you. So I really hope you enjoyed ourselves. But chat, if you have any more questions, now is the time to put it in chat. If you don't have any questions, thank you. But what I usually tell people is this: that my guest, that if you are familiar with Twitch, I am going to ask you to guide our raid. If you are not, then I will do it myself. But in the meantime, while you are looking for someone to raid out to, because I know you are familiar with Twitch, I'm going to tell you guys about our calendar, what we're doing in the next few days. So, tomorrow we are going to be interviewing the Mandy DM. Super excited about that. So happy to be doing that. And then next week, on the 26th, we're going to be interviewing Baddie Bards at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and then after that, it'll be Mixopixel on to 28th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Super excited for those three interviews. Check us out tomorrow. Can't wait for that to happen. Please, please, please check us out. Also, after the 30th, oh, I forgot. Guys, I will be playing in live play with So You Want to Be a DM, Justin. They're an amazing DM. I'm going to be on their channel playing in their live play Mythos. I'm super excited. It's a bunch of Greek gods who are going to college. Super excited about that. I cannot wait. So check me out there on their channel as well. And then after that, on the 30th will be the last. The 28th will be the last stream until, because I'll be going to Gen Con and I'll be hanging out there. There may be a stream during Gen Con with an interview with someone I'm super excited about, but I won't say anything until next week until I have it solidified. Also, when I get back, we have a major guest coming, and I can't wait for the major guest. And I would love to tell you guys, and somebody tell me I have to wait. So I will wait until next week to let you guys know who the super major guest is that's going to be coming on the channel for an hour. I can't wait to tell you. And we do have additional questions.
Ooh.
So Clover asks Jim Butcher and the Dresden Files? Question mark.
Huge fan of Jim Butcher and the Dresden Files. I have not all the way caught up yet. I think I still have like 2 of the books left so far to read. My wife has been like on me to finish them, but absolutely love the Dresden Files. 100%.
Oh,
Hell's
awesome.
Bells is my favorite curse phrase to use.
I love it. I love it. Oh, that's for me. I bought As You Wish by Carrie Elwes. Elwes. Okay, I forget how to say his name. From the star from The Princess Bride.
Yeah.
I bought that book. I'm so excited because I'm going to be listening to that on the plane. I cannot wait to listen to that. Clover also asks, I keep forgetting to do this. Do what? The NDA says.
Oh, I think they redeemed Ask a Question.
Okay. Yeah, I know. It's fine if you don't. The only reason I say redeem the question is because if there are a lot of questions, sometimes that happens. When we have a lot of questions, they get lost in the queue and I can't find them, and I feel bad. So, but the NDA does say the way. I don't have an NDA, but I feel like saying it too soon jinxes it, and I know that's weird, but that's fine. Thank you for the follow, Bliss to me. I really appreciate that. So, where are we rating out to, sir?
My dear friend Hamasama-kun is on right now playing Baldur's Gate 3, and I think it would be a fun time to raid them.
Awesome, awesome. So, if you put that in Discord, I will grab that from you, and I will drop the rate in there, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with Sphinx and I. I'm so happy that he came and hung out with me. I am so happy that I'm gonna get to see him at Gen Con, and this was
Hell
an
yeah.
amazing interview. You are so much fun to talk to, and
Thank you. I've
can
enjoyed
go
this
for-
immensely.
I could probably go for another hour, knowing me, because I will keep talking. you know,
I would
all
not mind.
day. Like I will be like talk, 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 because that's always the best thing to do. But guys, as always, it's better to be kind than to be nice. And if you cannot be good, please be careful. I will see you guys tomorrow when we interview Mandy the DM. Guys, thanks so much. Sphinx, thank you. See you guys later. Bye. Okay, hang on. Let's say hi real quick. I know this person. I'm trying to get him on my channel.
Yeah, Chris.
Oh, nice. Let me just say hi real quick.